The EFF remains firm in its stance that the deployment of South African National Defence Force to Democratic Republic of Congo is reckless and unjustifiable. With the increasing hostilities involving M23 rebels, it is imperative that South Africa withdraws its troops to ensure their safety. The escalation of tensions presents a clear risk, and it is unacceptable for our soldiers to be caught in a conflict where their presence does not serve the interest of peace in the region. Furthermore, should it be established that Rwanda deliberately targeted South African forces, then President Cyril Ramaphosa must act decisively. South Africa cannot continue diplomatic and trade relations with a nation that undermines its sovereignty and endangers its citizens. If Rwanda is found to be directly responsible for the attacks on South African troops, then all trade agreements and engagements with the country must be revoked without any hesitation. The embassy of Rwanda should be closed with immediate effect, because we cannot share the soil with the people who have blood of South Africans on their hands. Our reluctance to engage in warfare should never be mistaken as a cowardice, and our call for a retreat should never be confused as fear. Should the threats and attack on the South African National Defence Force persist while we call for peace and diplomatic resolution of the conflict continue, then South Africa must defend itself. To state the sovereign right of self-defense in the face of provocation is not warmongering, but a necessary caution that South Africa must and is able to recollect its strength and defend itself should it be necessary. The EFF has noted the threat by the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, who has issued a threat to cut foreign aid to South Africa and impose sanctions on South Africa for adopting legislation that permits the expropriation of land without compensation and implementing policies that addresses historical race-based inequalities in our country. The statement by Donald Trump is offensive and undermines our sovereignty, and is a reminder that our reliance on foreign aid and foreign direct investment surrenders us to the will of imperialists who use money to dictate the economic and policy direction of Africa. We want to make it categorically clear to the President of the USA that we are going to expropriate land without compensation and pursue legislative measures to do so, and no threat will stop us.
International issues, hopefully I can come back with local issues. The President of America has alluded to the issue of land expropriation with or without compensation. He doesn't even care. He's saying South Africa don't have a right, it's a racist policy, it's against white and so on. Can the President of EFF just go deeper into it? Because I know you said it's a watered down, almost a fake land expropriation policy. What is the EFF's real policy on land expropriation? To Elon Musk, the owner of social media, the richest man in the world, has an issue with BEE, broad-based black economic empowerment in South Africa. He's also say that policy is not up to standard, his standard, whatever the case may be. What is the EFF's position on broad-based black economic empowerment? Last but not least, China launched DeepSeek, the latest AI technology. It took America, it took the world by storm. The war between Palestine and Israel was done by missiles, AI technology, and so on. As you alluded to as well, SABC is struggling to launch an app, just to run an app for media. What do you think South Africa should do in terms of AI technology? Thank you.
Thank you. Number two.
Samkela Masego from the SABC. On the issues of local government, just the EFF's point of view on the removal of the mayor, of the district mayor of CDB. and ultimately your next position when it comes to Mfuleni? What is your posture on that particular aspect? What are the negotiations around the recomposition of the exco of the Sidibeng district and Mfuleni? Secondly, on the deployments of the conveners of provinces, looking at your electoral outcome in KwaZulu-Natal, what are some of your priority areas in trying to claw back the lost ground, particularly with the deployments you've made to that particular province? Then lastly, on international relations, the government of the day, the government of national unity, do you perceive it to be reneging on moving away from the West, particularly with the spats that are now being out in the glare with President Donald Trump of the United States basically issuing those threats to South Africa at this point in time? Do you see the current administration working with the West or moving towards the South-South bloc and towards the East? Thank you.
Number 3.
Thank you very much. Muluku Mloto is my name from ENCA. Just 3 quick questions, starting with you calling on South Africa to take decisive action against Kigali should it be found that they actually killed our soldiers there. Are you only limiting this to the cutting of diplomatic ties, or are you calling on South Africa to pick up arms and essentially confront Rwanda should it be determined that indeed they killed our servicemen and women? Second question on developments coming from Washington. How would you respond to the views that says as much as South Africa, we have a right as a sovereign country, we have a right to develop our policies and our legislation and choosing our international friends. On the same token, those who possibly do give us funding in whatever form also have a right to determine who they give their money to, and we should live with that. Lastly, you are governing with the ANC in a few metros. I don't know whether you have, because you at some point you did openly say that you would still want to govern at the national level. Of course, you wouldn't want to be part of that government if the DA and the FF Plus are part of it. Have you given up on those ambitions, or are discussions being had to that effect?
Thank you very much, President.
Thank you very much. The EFF policy is the expropriation of land without compensation, and we make no apology about it. It's actually our first non-negotiable cardinal pillar. And the Expropriation Act, as signed now recently by the President, is nowhere closer to that. If anything, it tries to justify the compensation, that properties can be expropriated, land can be expropriated, but there should be compensation, and condition of expropriating such is that there should be, expropriation should be in the interest of the public, for public use and public interest. So it has watered down what we have been asking for, because ours was a complete no-no on the compensation, but equally complete no-no into excluding the whole thing to public interest and public purpose. Because we want to take land and give to the landless, so that they can produce for their own sustainability, but for the sustainability of South Africa and the world at large, because we think it's the right thing to do. BEE, broad-based economic empowerment, it's a policy that should be implemented. Whether there is Elon Musk involved or not. It must not be a policy for certain people and a policy for other people. Whatever Elon Musk wants to come and do here, he must make sure there is participation of the previously disadvantaged people. Black people must participate in that transaction. Well, you know, we always put an emphasis that there should be more money into research and innovation if we are to, keep up with the AI. China has got capacity to overtake America because they've invested a lot in innovation and research, and they've come to appreciate that AI is here to stay and it will be with us for quite some time. So it doesn't, take us. It doesn't take anything away from us if we're to put the necessary resources, because our children, despite the fact that they are learning in difficult conditions, they are talented, and that talent needs to be harnessed and channeled in a right direction. We supported the removal of the mayor of Sidibeng, and Mfuleni was supporting the removal, because if you want to know a typical example of a corrupt, collapsed municipality, you must go to Mfuleni. You sometimes say Johannesburg inner city is gone, it's rotten. When we agree with that fully, we have no doubt about it, and we have always engaged the ANC about it, that something needs to be done. Unfortunately, we are not given that responsibility. It's not our department. It's like the Department of Roads of Kenigunen, who goes around showing people that the trees have fallen. I mean, at one tree in a suburb, and then he makes a big issue out of it because he's challenged. He's running out of depth. He has no idea what is he doing there. He thought that department could be converted into department of sushi and entertainment and anything of that sort. And he got more than what he bargained for. That's why you can't succeed to fix robots. Robots. It's not a duty of public safety to fix robots. It's Kenigunen, and you all speak about it. The robots are not working, but you never dare to call Kenigunen out. I don't know whether it is because there's something you are smoking with him or what, I don't know. But the guy is just incompetent and lazy. He can't fix a robot. There are potholes all over Johannesburg. Potholes. There was an incident that happened somewhere here in one street. Was it Bree Street? Where they hired a Zimbabwean company. That time department is led by Mabahambe. But Mabahambe, the first opportunity they got to get a person to tender and come and fix a road, they hired a Zimbabwean person. And then they couldn't get anything. They couldn't get that thing done because they weren't taking a lot of money from that guy. So yet he didn't have any capacity to can do that work because the money was stolen from him. As a result, we still have corrugated ions in the middle of a city center. We're told that that's a site establishment. They are trying to fix something there. So we cannot, even when we are working with these people in one municipality or the other, not be in a good position to call them out and say these ones are corrupt. The ANC comrades are corrupt. Each one of those Mfuleni people, if you go and check their petrol claims per month, the lowest is 30,000. We don't spend that, but we travel the whole country. Some of us are worse because we go to Limpopo 3 times before anything happens. So, but we don't spend 30,000. So when being an Imfuleni employee with 30,000, where are you going? God, Imfuleni is just here. Where are you going? Clearly, they found some creative way of getting money out of that petrol, and then they are inflating prices and then getting something in return. That municipality, if anything, voting out the mayor is not enough. They must dissolve that municipality. It must be dissolved. The same thing with DBA, it must be dissolved. And then we go into an election and let the voters have a choice to elect them again. You know, we municipalities get dissolved, we come back with the same crop of people. There is no problem. We must never get tired, because the communities must know that as long as they are not getting it right, they are not going to be left out of it until a solution is found. So to try and fix it amongst ourselves as politicians is not working. So let's go back to the electorate and said the outcome did not give us what is desirable when it comes to service delivery, and then let's go back. So our call will be that Mfuleni must be dissolved. But if the motion goes in tomorrow, we will vote against that mayor of the ANC. You could have seen the KZN deployment is way bigger than any other deployment in any other provinces, because we take what happened there very serious, and we want to turn the things around. And we think that the people that we have sent there are ready for that task, and they can change the political sphere. All you need in KZN is a political willingness to work hard for the EFF, and it will turn around. Politics are like that. They are not static. They change from time to time. Depending on the kind of work you do, you can tilt the balance of forces to be in your favor. And that's what we're going to do. We're actually going to become permanent residents of KZN from time to time. We're going to make sure we go there to give our comrades support. Look at our comrades in that municipality. What is it called? Where they arrested Monges. Mhlatuzi, they arrest Mongezi and the other comrades, our provincial chairperson and the other comrades. Because they are demanding, rightfully so, that there are people who are expelled from the EFF, but yet they are still in the municipality as councillors. Why? Because they are voting with the IFP. And the mayor is IFP, the municipal manager is IFP. So they're like, no, we can't remove these people because we need these votes. So when we say, but this is corruption, this is not acceptable, they say, no, we have a problem. Then they arrest Mongezi, our provincial chair, this morning. He goes to court. He gets arrested with our regional secretary, who is a lawyer. He goes to court. The magistrate comes there and says, no, I can't proceed with this case. I know this guy who is accused. Therefore, I'm conflicted. Then he leaves. They sleep inside the cells. The following day, they bring a different magistrate who is briefed that these are the accused, this is the situation, and all of that. That magistrate goes in there. He says, when he arrives, that first one even said, I'm leaving because I was intimidated by a police officer. The second one says, no, I'm also conflicted. I know this guy. Well, they say, okay, fine. You may not deal with this guy's issue, but these ones, you don't know them. So they've got their own individual right. You can release them and refuse with this one that you don't know. You don't want. No. Let's adjourn and let me talk to my superiors. Then he calls the superior in Durban. They say, no, you can't deal with that matter. Leave it. Our comrades sleep in the holding cells for 2 nights. And the following, after we made noise and called everywhere else and say, but there is no such a thing. We've been arrested, many of us, at times. But we've now been subjected to such a thing. the bail was not even dealing with the merits of the case to a point where you can say, I'm conflicted. You can just do the bail and then tell your superiors that I can't proceed with that case because I'm conflicted. So there was a coordinated arrangement to try and frustrate the EFF in Mhlatuzi, and the magistrate found themselves at the center of that nonsense. We are going to complain to Magistrates Commission so that that conduct can be taken up. So KZN, we are going to work there, and we are going to make sure we turn the things around.